Today's episode is about PopCon, a 3-day celebration of all things pop culture that's happening right here in Indianapolis this weekend. They say it's a place where every fan finds their place. And I believe it. It really is a place for everyone, and I love it. I've attended several PopCons over the years, including the very first one 10 years ago. A lot has changed since that inaugural weekend, but its core, its spirit, remains the same. Of course, this year's convention includes a ton of things that you would expect at any convention: vendors, celebrities, panels, but it doesn't stop there. PopCon Indy also hosts a film festival, magic shows, a cosplay contest, secret games, a tabletop gaming area, workshops, and even an escape room. So this year's PopCon is one you don't want to miss. It's this weekend, April 26th, 27th, and 28th, and tickets are available at popcon.us. Now, if I haven't convinced you to give it a try, how about a word from the co-founder of PopCon? Today's guest, as I mentioned, is co-founder and co-owner of PopCon, Carl Doninger, right here on the Matt Dan Toddcast podcast. Welcome to the Matt Dan Toddcast podcast. I'm your host, Matt, the guy with 3 first names and a face made for podcasting. But you can call me Matt Dan Todd for short. Carl, thank you so much for joining me today. I am just over the moon excited about PopCon being here again this weekend, and I am even more excited to be able to talk to you. As I mentioned in the little intro before you came on, I've been with you guys since the beginning. I've followed. Even when I couldn't come to PopCon, I was able to. I followed with great intent and was jealous every time about the event. I did come to the first one and was able to come to the second one too, and a few others since then as well. But I'm just thank you for coming today. I'm
Absolutely.
really
Well, thank
glad
you
you're
for
here.
having me, Matt. Thank you very much.
Before we get too deep into all things PopCon, would you mind just telling me a little bit about yourself?
Oh man. Okay. So born and raised in Indianapolis. That's one of the pride points of why we put PopCon here. So it's a passion project that we really want Indianapolis to thrive, at least a teeny little bit because of PopCon. So we try and put our mark on it every year. So went to school on the East Side in Irvington. Moved out to New Pal, and I'm a New Pal Dragon. We won't go into that. Played random sports. Ended up going to Indiana University, where I was lucky enough to be a manager for Bob Knight, and so I was on the IU basketball team. So I'm a Big Ten champion, and I've been to the Final Four without even having to dribble a ball. So that's pretty cool.
Well, congratulations on that.
Now, to that effect, I was actually a pretty good basketball player. I just wasn't a Division I good basketball player.
Okay.
But graduated with a business degree that I barely use anymore. Well, other than entrepreneurship, I guess, and was a computer geek for a long time. And then the whole concept of event management fell in my lap back in 2012 for the first show you said you attended in 2014. So since been doing this, I guess technically since 2012. So
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been it's a passion project, and now we're going into our 11th complete event here in Indianapolis, and later in August we'll have our second big event in Louisville, and we're expecting that one to grow very well too. So we haven't even announced it, but we've got Miley Flanagan coming to Louisville in August. We've got
Cool.
North. And we also just got one of our headliners, Anson Mount from Star Trek, will be in Louisville.
Oh, well, my son lives in Louisville, and so I might have to make a special trip to Louisville as well for
Yeah,
this.
and
Man, that's exciting.
we're not stopping there. But
Great,
yeah,
great.
there'll be a great lineup in Louisville as well.
Very cool. So one of the things that I've always loved about how you've promoted PopCon is that it is for everyone, right? And that I know initially I don't remember seeing it much now. I think I saw a T-shirt for it. One con to rule them all, right?
Yeah,
But
we have toyed with so many slogans over the years, but this year we landed on one I think we're going to keep for a while. It's where every fan finds their place.
yeah, I
So
love that.
so it definitely fits to what you're just saying, and what you mean for everyone, it really means not just every type of geek, because that's easy because we're a
Uh-huh.
true pop culture convention, but we really mean everyone, every walk of life. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you come from or what socioeconomic background you grew up in or exist in now. It's uh, everyone that comes into PopCon is just free to be themselves and coexist and be happy together 3 days a year. Well, now 6 days
Now
a year,
six.
different two different events, and just have fun. That's
Yeah,
what it's all about.
yeah, very cool. So what you said this kind of fell into your lap. Like what led into creating PopCon?
Yeah, there's a little bit more to the story.
Okay.
The short version of a much longer story is back in 2003 when the small event called Gen Con moved to Indianapolis.
Yeah,
And
just a
in
small
the
little thing.
in the laughter for those that don't know, Gen Con is essentially the largest convention in the country every year.
Mhm,
They just don't talk about it that way.
mhm.
Their turnstile is getting near 300,000 people. So it's they just don't market it that way. But Indianapolis is one of the only cities that can do that.
Mhm.
And people don't realize that either. But Indianapolis is a fantastic event city. The so I volunteered for them on their second year in 2004, and all the way up until I got fired because of a conflict of interest
Oh.
with having started PopCon, which is, and I'm saying that in jest because it was the most hilarious phone call because I'm great friends with the person that I was volunteering for that
Mhm,
works for Gen Con. She still does. And it was a hilarious conversation, but I had direct access to way too much information at
mm,
Gen Con at that point. And it was a wise decision on their part.
right.
Not that I was abusing it. I really
Mhm,
wasn't.
mhm.
But it just we're two different companies, and that I go to Gen Con still every year and love it. I absolutely love it. Second only to PopCon.
Right.
So that's really what got me in. I wanted to start again, this is the short version of a much
Right.
longer story. I wanted to start a second tabletop gaming convention because that's one of my big passions is tabletop gaming. And I wanted to start a second event 6 months on either side of Gen Con. So it was as far away in time during the year from Gen Con as possible. But that was at the exact same time that Gen Con was coming out of legal battles with Lucasfilm and them running the Star Wars uh, conventions,
Uh-huh.
both in LA and here in Indianapolis. I just said them backwards. I think it was in Indianapolis and then out in LA. But there were legal battles, and so they were that Gen Con used to have events in Australia, in Europe, and Southern California, in addition to Indianapolis, and I'm probably even forgetting one. And they pulled everything back. So my pitch to them was to run a gaming convention in the middle of winter,
Mhm,
is because they're technically in the middle of summer,
mhm.
and we it just didn't fit their mold because they were dumping all their horses back into Indianapolis, which, as we know now, with hindsight, it was the exact correct decision on their
Right.
part
Right.
because they have doubled or even tripled their attendance since then for Indianapolis. So. Uh, they did it right. So kudos to them. Now it's time for PopCon to double and triple its
Yeah.
attendance. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Um,
That's how it fell in my lap.
yeah.
I wanted to
Great.
start an event, so doggone it, we're starting an event.
So you saw a lot of things behind the scenes and
Yeah,
kind of
more.
knew the heavy lifting that was involved.
Believe it or not, we went into that first event thinking I did think I knew a lot, and boy
Mhm.
did I not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the behind the scenes that you get, I didn't. I mean, I saw a lot, but there's so much more beneath the surface than you even. So the things that I didn't have contact with were like gaining friendships with agents so we can bring in
Mhm,
celebrities because Gen Con doesn't do that, or the hotel contracting because they sell out every year. So
mhm,
they have one contract every year essentially with the city with Visit Indy, and that it just there are a lot of things, and the space management and the queuing. Well, I learned a lot of good queuing from Gen Con, but
Mhm.
which we do flow forward to PopCon. That's one thing I'm really proud of is you don't have to wait in a line longer than absolutely necessary at PopCon, which most events do not take that kind of care. So I don't like lines. I don't like lines. I don't want to
Yeah.
put you in a line. So if there has to be a line of PopCon, we're going to move it as quickly as possible so that you can go do other things.
Well, I should say that PopCon, okay, Gen Con was my first convention that I went to. PopCon was the second, and I've been to several others since then. And y'all spoiled me for sure with
Yeah,
the lack of lines. And
I I,
so
I do
kudos to you for that.
I do tell people that if you're going to come to PopCon, you're going to get spoiled. So be warned.
Well, and it's not just the lines; it really is everything. I've brought my youngest daughter um, to several pop cons, and she counts down the days now. Actually, she counts down the months. When we went to the last one, she was counting down from that next day. She was already counting down the days to be able to come to this one. So um, really exciting. And she's not a geek at all, right? But she loves everything about it and loves
there's
running into
something about
people.
the atmosphere when there I it's a critical threshold. So
Hmm.
if it's really quiet at PopCon, meaning um, there's not a certain number of people there yet, but when it hits that number, that there's just that the whole air just starts buzzing.
Hmm.
PopCon, and it makes it feel real good.
So
Yeah,
I would think there would be a delicate balance that you have to find between um, you know, tapping into your inner geek, right?
yeah,
And making sure that it's still available to everyone, because I'm sure there are people that hear, oh, it's a convention in Indianapolis, it's going to be superhero con or comic con
yeah.
light or some or gen con light or something like that, right?
Yeah, I would say that we're more. I don't
Hmm.
know how else to put it. So,
Right.
uh, we mentioned Gen Con. They're the best in the world at tabletop board gaming. They're hands down. There's no argument there. Essen, sorry Essen, that it's Gen Con. It's
Mhm.
Gen
Yeah.
Con's world in that regard. Uh, but and then there are comic book conventions all over the country that call themselves Comic Con, whether they are or not. There's
Right.
really only a couple of real Comic Cons in the country, um, but there's a lot of those. So whether they're comic convention, Comic Con, Comic Con,
Right.
where they make it one word, there's a whole bunch of those, and um, they're still mostly traditional comic book conventions. So I like to tell people that uh, PopCon is different in that regard, where we're true pop culture. And I actually tell people, picture a comic book convention in your head. And then now picture you yourself having fun at that event. And that is what PopCon
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And we truly we're trying to we kind of found ourselves to be trendsetters. So it's funny the things that we add at our pop cons, other events and even competitors of ours start adding the year or the year after that because they
Mm.
see how fun it is at PopCon. So we continue to be trendsetters in that regard, and I'm okay with that.
Hey,
So if
Indianapolis on the cutting edge again, right?
yeah, so if we're setting the stage, just everybody remember we did it first and we do it best.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's trying to play catch up with you, right?
I
So
like to think of it that way,
yeah.
Liz.
So let's talk about this year's indie
Absolutely.
indie iteration. What do you want to share?
Oh, I we have put together this year a magic formula, I think, and it really is just going to take people showing up to realize how cool
Hmm.
it is. We have easily the best celebrity lineup that's ever been brought to Indianapolis,
Hmm.
and I'm talking about any event. We're doing it all under one roof. So just having Elijah Wood and Andy Serkis and Dean Norris all under the roof at the same time
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
So we've got uh, Frodo, uh, uh, Gollum, and Sauron all under the. You can get signatures and photo ops and meet all three of them at the same time.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Ring fans should just flock to PopCon this year.
Right.
It's an insane opportunity. But then we have all the Walking Dead and the Breaking Bad and the Arrow and the Flash and the Power Rangers. And then we've got all the video game actors that no one ever gets to meet. So we've got the Red Dead Redemption guys. We've got Solid Snake. We've got um, and then we have amazing anime voice actors with Kyle Hebert and Todd Haberkorn, and then we even have Winnie the Pooh himself. So Jim Cummings is going to be back in the house, and we absolutely love having him. He's and then we're just lucky to have all of them. And I could start name dropping, but it's going to be like 60 people,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
insane the lineup that we have this year. So if they were a major part of one of those franchises I just mentioned, they're probably at PopCon this year.
Yeah. So for a full list, they can go to popcon.us and see
Yep.
it all
Yeah.
there, and then go buy a ticket, right?
Yeah. Easiest now, we've got a redirect from popconindy.com. So it's
Okay.
easy. Yep.
Okay. Great.
So, yep. Easy.
Cool. This is a question I wasn't entirely sure whether I should ask because like I felt like it would be asking you to pick your favorite child, right? But is which PopCon
You
has been your
alluded to it.
favorite?
You
Yeah.
alluded to it. So you you went to the first and the second.
Hmm.
So you saw uh our vision in the first
Hmm.
year. And it's still my proudest child this year. This year is going to do a run for the money though.
Okay.
But the all the work and the effort because uh, we had what we thought were as a year and a half to plan it. We were going to start it in a hotel, but then Indiana Comic Convention all of a sudden announced that they were moving to Indianapolis.
Hmm.
So we moved up our timetable and moved ourselves to the convention center and essentially organized that whole event in like 6 months,
Wow.
which was insane. And it was our largest footprint that we've ever had still, I believe, as well. Uh, we're much better at space management now, so
Okay.
that uh, the number of attendees versus the number of vendors versus the number of celebrities so that everybody is having a good time all the time. We're getting really good at that. And uh, that so I 2014 does have a special place in my heart. But then you saw that which was 2015 when we essentially had the Beatles in the house,
Mm.
uh, with Markiplier and
Hmm.
Jacksepticeye, and it was a completely different event year over
Yeah.
year. We
Yeah.
tripled our attendance from year one to year two, uh, in great part to the YouTubers. There's no doubt. We had the legendary Edward James Olmos that year in
Hmm.
2015, and uh, his celebrity line was uh, normal, I believe, for him. But we had Markiplier and Jacksepticeye behind him in a massive space of 2,000 people in line constantly the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And he told us that he was just absolutely humbled of the internet generation because of that. So
Wow.
it's true. It's amazing the passion people can have for the people that they can just go watch for free all the time on YouTube or Twitch or TikTok or that again, we're trendsetters. We were one of the first events to ever really do that, and
Yeah.
it's becoming more and more difficult to get a hold of the bigger names in that regard
Yeah. I'm
because
sure.
there's so whenever they attend an event like ours, they lose money. There's no amount of money we can pay them to offset their losses. So they have to do it for the love of their fans.
Wow.
Uh, and it's true. Them not posting, them not creating their content. They can create content, obviously, at PopCon. We're all about that.
Right.
We bring in create. We love creators at PopCon and facilitate that to the nth degree. We even have an interview um, booth this year, which is going to be
Oh.
fantastic,
Okay.
where
I
anybody just go up and interview somebody in that booth and it gets recorded. So
might have to check that out then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it's just yeah, there's just so much going on. I've
Right.
already there's so many things going in my head now. I forgot what we were even talking about.
It's okay.
But
Your
it's just
favorite
yeah,
child.
yeah. So favorite child. So I think this year though is going to give it a run for the money.
Okay.
So yeah, number 11. Here we come.
All right. Sounds great. Sounds great. Well, I really do appreciate your time, Carl. I am again, really excited for this weekend, and looking forward to another 11, right?
That's right.
And
Maybe,
more.
maybe next year we'll bring out Caitlin Clark and break
Yeah,
the
there you go.
center again.
I
Yeah,
mean, it makes sense, right?
it
Gotta love
does.
Indy. Gotta love Indy.
Well, no, just super proud of that whole story. So
Yeah, very
yeah,
much so.
everybody just heard my basketball background, so there's definitely a big place in my heart for success stories in that sport. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
awesome.
great. Congratulations to Fever. Congratulations to Caitlin, and
Yep.
congratulations to you and PopCon for an amazing run. And you're just getting started, right?
Just getting started.
Yeah. Well,
All
thanks
right.
again for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely, Matt. Appreciate you.
PopCon Indy. Let's do this weekend. You can find more information and tickets at popcon.us. I'll see you there. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite listening platform. We'll see you next time. The Matt Dan Toddcast podcast is brought to you by me, Matt. Theme song by Paul